All right, welcome back to Sung's Garage. Now here's part 2 with my good friend Rahail from MZR Roadsports.
Have we got time? Do you want to talk about the race car? Am I okay to talk about the race car for a minute?
Yeah, keep talking. We're here to talk about all of it. So
okay, cool. Right, so you see the middle car there on the rack with the white square on the door?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that car is the first 240Z, 240Z, depending on where you're from, to race in the World Championships. It's the first car in UK and Europe to race in the World Championship races back in the 70s. So it's a very, very, very special car indeed.
That's a lot of significance right there. Holy crap.
It really is. I'm gonna go back upstairs and I'll just tell you a quick story about the car. I'll just quickly run back onto the
race car
story of the race car. Right. So given its importance and stuff, I read up on that car, back late say 2008, 2009. I read about this, and it's kind of known for its license plate. Its registration plate is LAL 909K. So everybody in UK and Europe will know that car from its license plate, and the reason for that is it was like, remember when we talked about the working class hero of the Datsun?
Yeah.
Well, this epitomizes that, because this car was converted by a company called Samurai Conversions back in the 70s, who were almost like a diluted version of MZR. They just did certain modifications and certain paint schemes for the cars that they modified. And this car used to drive, it was a road legal car, and would drive to the races with its license plate on and race and then drive home. And this is the reason why it stuck with everybody. And this has got to a point where in 1977 in Brands Hatch, I think by that time it might have been spec'd up to a proper race level, but it came and it raced against the Porsche 935s. Now, these 935 Porsches were winning Le Mans and Daytonas, and they must have been looking at this Datsun coming on this trail and thinking, who's this guy? Who does this guy think he is? And in that race in Brands Hatch, and it was a world championship, it was a really wet circuit. There was a lot of heavy rain that day, and because the 240 handles so well around the corners and stuff, I think it rose through the grid to about 6th position, against all these Porsche 9. I've got some fantastic photos I'll have to show you of it racing against the Porsche 935s. I mean, these guys will have been brought in, big transporters and backup service vehicles, and all of a sudden this little 240 comes on the back of a trailer, and it's like passing all these Porsches. And what happened is, the story goes, I'm only going by the story, it could be incorrect, but they say that the Porsche had so much influence with the race organisers that they were scared that this 240 was going to, get to the top of the grid, and they stopped the race for supposedly bad rain. And unfortunately, when it restarted again, it crashed and it didn't finish the race. But that story, I mean, obviously stateside, the story's not that well known, but honestly, that story holds so much weight over here of David and Goliath. And I think this is the things that give me the affiliation, and these are the things that drive me and MZR and Martin and all the workers to really push the car up like that car did on the racetrack. Push it past the Porsches. It's better than all them, So, that honestly, and the story of me finding the car is bonkers. It's absolute fate. I mean, I read the stories and I became a little bit obsessed with it. And then I was like, how come nobody knows where the car is? Usually, it's quite a small world, the Z world. You find out it's with a collector in so-and-so. It disappeared. It it got sold at Bonham's auction in 2005, and that was it. It just went off the grid. Nobody knew where it was. Some people said it had gone abroad. Some people said it had been dismantled. It had just disappeared. So I got in touch with Bonham's. This was like a bit me being obsessed, but this is before MZR as well. So this is just me being a 240Z fan, you know, just a club owner, if you will.
Yeah.
I got in touch with Bonham's, and they shared the information that, yes, it got sold to a gentleman in Greece. And if you want to find out more about the car, you can send, you know, we'll forward a correspondence on. So I forwarded an email, and he goes, no, we don't want an email. We want a handwritten letter, you know, stating what your interest is and what you know. So I wrote this long love letter and sent it to Bonham's, and they forwarded it on to this collector in Greece and didn't get any response. And that was it, as far as I was concerned. And what I did find out at the time was at Bonham's, when it sold at Bonham's, there were two 240s which looked very similar. It might have been from the same seller at that time, but they got the photos mixed up in the auction book. So basically, it had, and this is important, this is really important, this is how I got the car. So basically, it had the wrong picture and the wrong description. It had, the right description, but the wrong picture of the car in the auction book. And when the car, that's what happened when the car got sold. So what happened is, after I'd sent this letter to Bonham's, and didn't hear anything for months, thought that's it, it's dead in the water. I got back in touch with Bonham and said, did he reply back at all? And they said, I'm really sorry, we got no response. You know, that's as much as we can do. About a year and a half later, I see the picture of the wrong 240 that was in the auction of this car for sale in Greece. And I'm like, it can't be is it that car? Can it be that car? But what he'd done is, instead of taking pictures of his own car, he used the photo from the auction book. But only a few nerds like me knew what that car could be.
Yeah.
You know? So I rang him up straight away. At that time, Greece was going through a real economic decline. And he goes, look, I don't want a bank transfer, I want cash. And I'm like, I'm in the UK. And he goes, well, I don't care. You know, and I'm thinking, the clock's ticking here, because it isn't going to be long till somebody else who's a lot richer than me going to know what this car is. So I left him a deposit, which he did take by bank transfer. And then I borrowed money off my dad, my brother, and whoever else. And I gave this transport guy a bag of cash to drive all the way across Europe and verify the car for me. And, you know, 5 days later, it's at home. So that's fate, isn't it? It's, you know, it's unbelievable. Yeah. So the car needs to be converted back to the race spec and converted back to its original paint scheme. And we're very busy at the moment, but, you know, God willing, one day it's not going anywhere. So it will be my little retirement car, and hopefully we'll get it back to its former glory.
That's awesome. What an amazing story. That's just
amazing.
I'm really sorry if I bored you.
Oh, that wasn't boring.
That wasn't boring. That was a great story. I love that story. So so it's all taken apart now, but what was the condition of the car when you received it?
So basically what happened when the Brands Hatch race story that I told you, where it was doing really well and then they stopped the race and it crashed. So basically back in the 70s, you could buy everything from Nissan brand new. So it's had a whole new front end on it. The inner wings, the chassis, all that was done. And then it got converted to a rally car, but it never made the road. It got converted by a very well-known company in the UK back in the 70s. I've got photo documentation and stuff of the conversion and stuff. And then it's come to me, not in the right spec, because it had all the rally stuff. And again, I got so lucky. A lot of the rally stuff was the genuine works Nissan you know, when it used to, the 240s did so well in Monte Carlo and all these fancy rallies, and they had all these, so it had a lot of really rare works rally components on it.
Wow.
Which I then sold to Alan Thomas, who I bought the 240 ZG off because he wanted it for one of his restorations. So it was such a sweet deal.
That's awesome.
It was such a sweet deal. So I'll send you some pictures, Sung and Jess, of the car in its form. You know, it's a really cool looking car, and then you can see what needs to be done to it. It had the Samurais had such a unique paint scheme. If I tell you it verbally, it just sounds like that. But it really worked. It was the original 110 red, you know, like the postbox red, and then it had these white pinstripes, and then it had a bronze two-tone paint scheme. Honestly, it just sounds like it should work. It looks awesome.
Yeah,
I can't wait to.
Yeah, it's like a real goldy block bronze. So the top half of the car were bronze. Then there was this pinstripe that separated. It's white pinstripe, and then it had the red, and it just worked. It was just so 70s. It screamed the 70s.
So what kind of power, what kind of engine would you put in that when you restore it?
I go back to its original specification, so it would have been like a standard 240 engine, big triple carbs, big bore, you know, sort of fancy manifold and exhaust. I mean, it would probably been about 200 brake horse back in the days. But that's a lot. You think about the weight ratio. You think about that on the racetrack. You know, against all these big heavy cars with the back end sliding out. You know, the thing is with the Z, it was produced with perfect, you know, almost 50-50 perfect balance. These Japanese are clever guys.
Yes,
honestly, they are clever guys.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm realizing that working on trying to get Oppa running with this positive ground stuff, they're so clever that they made the car almost impossible to understand for people like us. They're too clever.
Yeah, if it's any consolation, we're still learning every day, and there's 6 of us here, honestly, and we've been working on these cars for years.
Yeah.
Well, if you aren't learning something, you're doing it wrong.
That's right, Jess. Well, speaking of the learning something, I want to do a tour of the actual MZR car. Like, we got to show Jess an actual MZR car. Yeah.
Okay. I'll.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I haven't got much here at the moment. Let me have a look.
You got any wide bodies?
I've got. Let me switch it over.
Wait. First of all, how did you come up with the name MZR, Rahail?
Easy.
Okay.
M for Martin.
Yeah.
Z for the cars, and R for Rahail.
There you go.
Perfect.
All right. Now we know. All right.
See, I wanted to be the first. I wanted to call it RZM, but it just didn't have the same ring tone. It didn't have the same tone to it. So RZM. MZR sounds cooler, doesn't it?
It does, unfortunately.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
But, you know.
Let me spray. Oh, we go. Sorry, I'm rubbish on these phones.
Fine. Totally fine.
Oh, we switched. Yeah, we go. So I'll talk you through the press car, the demo car that Sung drove magnificently. So we've got, I mean, it's really hard to know where to start and stop because there's literally so many components which is bespoke, and, you know, we've kind of changed and stuff. But fundamentally, this is like the sport design. This is not the wide-bodied. So This is like a standard body car. So we've got, you know, the unique front valance. We've got our own wheels. These are made in the UK. These are our own design wheels.
Are those our own ones or no?
Sorry?
Are those the 3-piece ones or are those different ones?
They're all our wheels are 3-piece. So the bolts are hidden on this. So you know, kind of looks a bit more period. Yeah, a bit more uncluttered.
Awesome.
You know, we've got got the carbon mirrors, which sometimes we have them body colored depending on the client. You know, the thing is, I'll probably show you a lot of stuff, Jess, but you'll only if you're a 240 guy, you'll know that that's not meant to be like that, and you know, that kind of thing. And even the tail light panel is bespoke, and it's got the central exhaust coming out, which I know some really liked. And then interiors, a little bit of bling bling. So, you know, every panel is individually designed and produced for us, and then we get these all sort of trimmed to the highest sort of standard. This is actually Lamborghini Nappa leather, so you can imagine the cost of just the leather itself. Yeah, and, you know, and then we've got the basket weave. This is where we get to play a little bit, and our own sort of interpretation can come out, and we can express ourselves a little bit more inside. You know, we've got our own sort of race seats here, which, even though they're kind of, you know, bucket seats, they're so comfortable. This is the car that I spent 9 hours with, and honestly, I got out of it, and it was just like I'd been driving my Audi, you know, my daily Audi. Yeah, it was, you know, we've gone to so much effort and time to try and get the ergonomics right, you know, and get the padding right and the support right. And
you still even have the vents in there. That is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, with the next cars that are coming out from sort of in the next 3 months onwards, they're going to look a lot different to this. We've got a new dash. We've got some really cool stuff coming out. Awesome. But hoping we haven't overstepped the mark. You'll have to tell us, Jess, whether we have or whether we haven't.
I will.
Yeah. So, you know, the centre console's unique. I mean, you can tell the difference, obviously, between the ZG and this in terms of the layout and all the, you know, sort of the bespoke, the door cards. But a lot of it is what goes on underneath, you know. We've kind of, I mean, the engine, unfortunately, I think we've taken the fuel injection off this car, just doing some more development work on it. But, you know, kind of keep it super clean in there.
So with the engine, is that you start with a stock engine, or is that a complete swap for those cars?
We'll always use the base of the 2.8. So this is probably a better example to show. This is the France Commission, and we'll start with the 2.8, and the client will have a choice of either keeping it as a standard 2.8 or us, you know, performance 2.9 or stroke a 3 litre. We're even doing a 3.2 now on the Evolution models and stuff. So there's so much you can do with these engines, Sung. And I mean, we're actually doing an RB. It's taken me a long time to get my head around doing a complete engine swap like you did on Fugu. But it's just the evolution of MZR and the evolution of our cars that is dictated, you know, that kind of route for us to go. But as long as I get, or let's say we as in MZR get to put our own stamp on putting in a different engine, I'm happy with that, because I think I think you're gonna see something. Well, it's going to be pretty special. Our interpretation of the RB and how that's going to look and how that's going to perform as well. So, I mean, this is a London Commission here, which is in a sort of slightly, you probably might not be able to tell on the video, but this is a slightly darker green. You know, this is our, you know, that's our brakes there, and it's. This is kind of we're just getting started with this car.
I peeked on that one, and that one's just.
Oh, do you like this car? Yeah.
It's beautiful.
What color is that going to be? It's like a lime green, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of more of a dream. Yeah, this is difficult to see, Jess, but this is actually. This is a wide-bodied car. This is the first MZR 50 that we're building.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but this car is going to be really, really cool. I nearly swore then, and I just stopped myself from swearing. It's going to be really, really cool. I don't know if you can see the very subtle sort of enhancements that we've done. This car took about 12 months to perfect. I don't know if maybe you can see the sort of bulge on the rear arch a bit. Maybe better from the back, actually. From over there. But yeah, it's going to be a special car all round. And this is to mark the 50th anniversary of the 240, which was last year.
That is so cool.
Yeah, so I really want to do something special, and I'm really happy how this has turned out. And I think once all the bits go on it.
Why is the transmission tunnel so big now inside? Is that for the RB swap?
That's for the 6-speed, our 6-speed transmission off the 370Z.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we've modified. I mean, yeah, there's so much that's modified. We've got different differential now to the like, it's kind of weird to say, but like the demo car's kind of dated now. There's so many new things that we brought out. So we'll probably do is, if and when we ever get time, is we'll probably strip this demo car down and start fitting all the new bits to it. Because obviously, if a client comes, especially when they come from overseas, because we've got a lot of clients that come from overseas, Jess.
Yeah.
It's only fair that they drive the car that we're going to build them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
With the 6-speed, and all the new bits and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to bore you guys too much, but you can see what we're trying to do. We're just trying to bring it up to date without taking away what makes it good. And I reckon we must be very close to that by the number of sort of how can I say it? It's just been a phenomenal response to our cars in terms of inquiries, in terms of clientele. In terms of orders, it's mind blowing. It's humbling. It really is. For somebody to just imagine somebody you've never met, and probably never going to see to inquire and have that trust in you to build something of that, of the price bracket alone. Just have that trust of sending you the funds and stuff. For me, it's just it blows me away. It really does.
So what's the process of a customer working with you to come up with his vision or his dream car? Do you and Martin kind of have cars already planned out and then you present him options?
Yeah.
Or the choice?
What we did in the beginning was we gave him too much choice, and we kind of kept jumping from one thing to another, and then so what we're trying to do now, I've just come back in the office because it's a little bit warmer. What we do now is we try and narrow it down to 2 different models. So you've got the Sport Design, which is the standard body. You could probably say more of a purist angle, and because we have some clients who just want a really nice 240.
Right.
And then what we've done is introduce the MZR 50, which has got the bespoke, sort of body enhancements and the wider wheels and the more beefy engine and the bigger brakes and just try and keep in line with these 2 models. And then their options can be the body colour and wheel finish, and that's easy. That's a bit more. That's what makes it personal to them. And then obviously they've got the options on engines and stuff like that. But I think if you give somebody a blank canvas, it's dangerous, because without trying to tell the client, we kind of know what's best for the cars. We know what's, so we kind of say, look, you've got these are your options, and try and stay within that parameter. And they respect us. They respect us, and we usually get to the final sort of spec very quickly, really.
Yeah, too many choices are definitely dangerous for people who love
We've
the
got
car,
money.
but they don't know the car, if that makes sense. Yeah. It can definitely be dangerous and overwhelming, and it doesn't turn out really good sometimes. But it sounds like you guys have got it all narrowed down and pretty awesome, actually, with how you have this set up with your two models, and then they get to customize them from there. That sounds perfect, actually.
Yeah, I think it's just, you learn. It's like life, isn't it? You learn. Sometimes you learn the hard way, and we jump. Somebody would want a certain type of braking system. Somebody would want and it just ended up that we were just running around in circles. We were reinventing the wheel too many times. Where if you got some that works, that's it. Leave it.
Yep, absolutely.
What was I gonna ask? I had a really important question. I just forgot what I was gonna ask you. Jeez.
Sorry.
Was it about the process?
Oh yeah. Do you ever say no to customers? Do you ever meet somebody you're like, I'm not selling you that car?
Please say yes.
I do it in a very diplomatic way.
But why? What makes you say no to someone? What turns you off? What's the criteria?
When somebody, and it's happened a couple of times, and it's just an instant put off to me and Martin, is when somebody is looking to have a car built for more commercial, financial reason than owning the car. So they kind of almost looking at it as it's something I'll get built and sell on at a profit, and that's just not gonna work. And it's very, as clever as anybody wants to be, it's very, very easy to filter out. Very, very easy to filter out. And to be honest, it doesn't happen very often, if I'm honest with you. It's like when I met someone, within 5 minutes, you suss out somebody, you know what they're about, you know how genuine they are. And some of the clients are absolutely unbelievable, Jess, that we've got. They are amazing people. They've got amazing stories. They've got amazing collections. They've got and honestly, that's the thing that drives me, because some days are hard. Some days are really hard. Things don't go to plan, and you're building the hand-built cars, aren't there? So there's not robots building them. We incur problems and there's different hurdles every day. But honestly, these are the things that drive us. Obviously the end result. Really, I love. For me, I'm Martin always sort of makes the fun of me, but my biggest buzz is when the photographer comes to take the pictures of the car when it's all finished, and I just love waiting for the set to get sent through to me, because that's like all the months of hard work, and you just see that car, and it's just it just comes out better than what you thought. I mean, the one other good sort of drive is every client that we've had have always kind of given us the same feedback. They always say it's beyond what we expected, which is brilliant, considering yeah. You knew the cars were sat with. Obviously the clients, I've got to be very confidential with information, but these 240s are sitting with the best cars in the world. Seriously, with some of the best collectors in the world. That's what gets me up every morning.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's bonkers. It's really. But it's weird.
Rahail, would Martin and you say no to certain specs? If let's say I came in, right, and then you're like, "Oh, this guy checks out. He's a nice guy," and I said, "Hey, Rahail, when the door opens in my purple 240Z, I need the door to open, and then I need an underglow, and then I need some like EDC club music as soon as I open the door. I need that in my car.
You're-
Would you
you're-
Amar, and go, get out of here? Or would you go, let us consider that? And I go, I'll pay whatever it costs, but I need that. And I need
I
that.
think-
And
I think-
I need MZR in the back. Big old sticker. MZR is dope.
So you want like you're thinking like Las Vegas on wheels, aren't you?
Yeah, pretty much like a club on wheels. A club on wheels.
Oh,
I think the easiest answer to that is you haven't seen one of them from MZR, so you won't see one of them.
Good answer. Good answer. 'Cause
Yeah.
you won't sell out. You won't sell out is basically what you're saying. Good.
Yeah, come on. It's all about integrity, isn't it? You've got to keep it.
yes.
Who if you think about it, who's that doing it injustice to? It's doing injustice to the car, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Really? And it's doing injustice to my workers as well, really. That car would take the same amount of time, probably longer to build than the others, and for it to be I don't know what's the word, abused. It's not our thing for sure.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, there's some things that are definitely deal breakers when you're building the car.
Yeah,
Someone,
you've got
throw a 350 in this car, and you're like, no, thank you. I don't want your go away.
I mean, I think the wide-bodied commission was about as extreme as we'd go, and that was kind of a one-off for a very special client. And I think that's probably as far as we go. And I think we did that pretty tasteful. That went down quite well anyway.
What was his thinking behind the wide-body conversion? Why do you want that?
He wanted that because, again, he's a he was a UK client, and he's got a lot of Japanese cars in his collection. I think he already had two 240s, and he just wanted something different. He had a nice 240, he had nice flares and Watanabes, and it was a nice car. And he showed me the picture of, let me think now. Is it Rocky Auto or Japan? Rocky Auto, they're quite well known tunists in Japan, and they had this really wild, wide body. They're really well known for putting RBs and automatic sort of RB transmissions in all the cars and stuff. And he showed me this picture, and he said, "This is what I want the car to be like." And I said, "Look, we can do something in the ballpark, but it's not going to be bolt-on fiberglass flares. It's going to be handcrafted, and he got what we were trying to get at, and he stuck with us, and he absolutely loves it. Absolutely, same again. Honestly, he said absolutely way better than what he thought it was going to be.
That car, so beautiful. Oh my gosh!
You know which one I mean? It's the grey one, yeah, the grey bronze one.
Yeah,
yeah.
Sam, have you seen that car?
I think so. You showed it to me, right, Rahail? Did anybody see it in person?
It was in the Super Street magazine, so I'll send you some pictures. But yeah, I think you might have seen it. It wasn't here when you came.
Here. Oh. I haven't seen it.
No. Yeah.
Because they did
nice car.
Metal fender flares, like how we talked about.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be done, I think, personally, because there's no better thing on a vehicle than quality and authenticity. So there's my 2 cents on that one.
But wait, let me ask this. Okay, so what I was so Rahail showed his Genos that we just saw, right? So that I was thinking while I was looking at it. So that's a factory fender flare, right? That's a bolt-on.
Yeah.
That's fiberglass too. That's not metal, right? That's not a metal.
Yeah, it's true.
It's fiberglass, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is authentic to that period and to that car, right? So I was thinking for Oppa, I want fender flares, but I wanted something relevant. I wanted something with a story behind it. So I agree with you, Jess. I was thinking, metal flares for this guy would be much better, but it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right for some weird reason. Yeah, it doesn't feel right with it because I feel like it needs to be, and I'm not disrespecting Opa, but I feel like it needs to be cheap.
Why, the lorry?
I don't know.
No,
So,
I know where something's coming from, because that was the whole, the reason that the flares from the Nissan factory are fiberglass is
because it was cheap.
Cost. It was function over form. It was for race. They wanted to fit wider wheels for the race cars, and what's the cheapest and quickest form of doing that? Back in the 70s, and that's the reason that they fit the flares. But I'm with Jess.
Well, okay, so
no. I agree with you guys. Look, but the thing is that the Genos has created a different standard, like a new precedent. It's established a certain look, right? And now because of those fiberglass they're actually real Genos, Nissan fiberglass, flares. Those are as valuable to me, right, because of the story and the origin, as original metal flares. Because if they were just cheap aftermarket flares that you could buy, and they were and they were not from Nissan, I would say, man, I think I'd rather go with metal flares because there's more there's more work into it, and it's permanent. But the fact that it's actually I could find either a duplicate or actually if I could find real Genos fender flares, right, and put it on Opa, those are so rare. Or even if I could find replicas, there's a reason why those flares are on this car, right? Because it was put on the Genos. So that's where I'm coming from.
No,
so,
I get you.
Right? I mean, there's history to it now, because you have to use the Genos flares. You can't just use any fiberglass flares. You know what I'm saying?
That is fair. I don't know. Because I have a 69 Bug, and it got wrecked, and I'm rebuilding it because it saved my life. I love that car. Whatever. Anyhow, so when I rebuild it, I'm going to widen all of my fenders because I want that little bit more of a low, wide stance. I prefer that. And now that it's been hurt, I can modify it as I see fit. But they do make fiberglass fenders that are pre-widened. But why would I do that when it's my car? So I'm going to actually cut and add and weld and make them out of OG metal. And everyone's going to be like, oh, wow, nice fiberglass fenders. And I'm going to be like, guess what, buddy? They're not fiberglass.
But I'm with you on that, Jess. For the Volkswagen, I would not put the fiberglass flares in because there's no story behind it. But if those flares were in a certain specific rare VW Bug and had like rally race history or Baja 1000 history, right? And those were fiberglass flares from the 70s and they're raced in the Baja, then I would say, right?
But then that's a restoration kind of thing, putting it back to the way it was for a race car or like a Baja car, like you said. But
no, what I'm saying is it's homage. It would be an homage to that car.
Right? I guess.
Yeah, there is a connection. There's a connection, isn't there?
Yeah.
But I agree with you. What's that?
It's like picking a body color, isn't it? I mean, talking about these flares, this is why it's brilliant. It's whatever Sun chooses, it's because it's his car, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the bottom line. It's his personal.
Oh yeah.
And wow, this car is even personal to me, Opie, because of the timing of the purchase and the even the Sun's garage. It's just it's unreal. Who's going to forget the birth of this community through the time that we're living at the moment? It's unbelievable, isn't it?
It is. But if you don't talk about different options on how to do something, and you don't actually verbalize it and have a sounding board, then you're just going to go with what you first thought without even thinking about other things. So it's Sung's vehicle, But if he's only thinking about it one way, then he's going to potentially settle on one idea and not hear other ideas. I don't know. I would rather hear multiple ideas from multiple different people. And then even if I disregard those opinions, at least I heard them and I'm thinking about them, and maybe that'll go on to a different project. Like Sung was talking about doing up a Volkswagen Bug. Maybe something that we've talked about or you and Racer M have talked about will end up pertaining to that Volkswagen Bug. Doesn't mean you're going to do it on OPA, but you might do it on something else.
Yeah. Yeah. It's important. I mean, that's why I love talking to, people, car folks out there, because everyone has a unique taste. And at first, even like color schemes, look at a paint, you look at a paint job and you go, why would you choose those colors? And then you talk to the person and there's like a origin, there's a reason why. And then you start falling in love with it, right? Yeah. All right, guys. Yeah. Well, you guys are awesome. This was awesome. I could talk to you all day. So I really appreciate you guys' time. And I'm glad you too, Matt. So
yeah, definitely.
Thank you for this.
Okay, we'll talk again. We'll come and visit both of you guys again. So thanks for hanging out, guys. So I'll talk to you later.
No worries.
Okay,
see you guys.
Thanks, Rahail. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Jess. Okay,
Bye.
All right. Thanks for tuning in to Sung's Garage. And I want to give a huge, huge thanks to my buddy Rahail for sharing with us so many of his beautiful MZRZs. Thank you so much for creating these pieces of art for us to enjoy. I'm so fortunate to call you a friend, bro. And thank you for everything you do. And I can't wait to come back to Bradford to show you how to drive on the wrong side of the road. All right. Y'all be good.